Good morning, everyone. It is 9 a.m. I know that we have some individuals still entering the session, but we want to be cognizant of everyone's time, and there's a lot of great information to be shared. So we are going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to day 2 of ISBG conference. Glad to have you all here. Hope that you are enjoying the conference platform and the sessions that you attended yesterday. Big thanks to our conference committee for making sure that everything is rolling smoothly. If anything happens wrong in this Zoom meeting this morning, it is Andy Pham's fault. So everyone, make sure you send your hate mail there.
Terrible.
Okay.
That is terrible.
Just a couple of items. Please make sure if you're not asking a question or wanting to speak that you are on mute. We will have time for some Q&A, and we are recording the session as well, just so you are aware. Okay. Welcome to the Lean Startup 101, using the approach with entrepreneurs in Plan for Profit program. My name is Erica Perkins, and we are excited this morning to have you join Mara Mitchell, who is our director of the Illinois SBDC at the WBDC Women's Business Development Center in Chicago for this session. This will be an interactive session, and again, it will be recorded, so we encourage you to ask questions. When the Q&A opens, you have a couple of options. You can raise your hand using your button at the bottom of the page, and someone will call on you and unmute you. You also can put your questions in the chat, and we will make sure that we monitor the chat session and make sure those questions are asked so the entire group can hear the response. Okay. Mara, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you take it away. Thank you very much. I need you to unmute though, Mara.
Yes,
Here we go.
Okay, welcome everyone. I am going to get my slideshow here. Okay. There we go. Welcome. I'm so happy you could join me today. I'm going to talk about Lean Startup 101 and talk about the Illinois SBDC at the Women's Business Development Center Plan for Profit program and how we use the Lean Startup method. So welcome to everyone. As I said, I am the director, as Erica said, I'm the director of the Illinois SBDC at the Women's Business Development Center. I've been working at the Women's Business Development Center for 4 years, and I've met with thousands of clients. I mainly deal with startup clients, and my passion is from pre-venture and ideation to launch. So that's why this program is near and dear to me. I have a background in law, and I have an MBA in finance, and I'm on the board of directors of my family's manufacturing business. So I'm not involved in day-to-day, but I do the help with the strategic planning. So I come at this from all different angles, and I am a market researcher at heart. So I thought today we would check in with the group, discuss the problem that the Lean Startup method helps to solve, learn why we use it, and then I'm going to discuss how we implemented it into our Plan for Profit program. So first of all, this is interactive, so I would just love it if you could, in the chat, because there are a number of us, let's just put in our SBDC location. Great, Carbondale, North Central Illinois, Harper College, College of DuPage, McHenry County, Bradley. Great, so all areas of the state are represented. I would love to take a poll and see if anyone is familiar with the lean startup approach. I am going to get into the basics, so I hope those that are have been exposed to it aren't bored, but it is an exciting method to use. And if so, have any of you used it with your clients? So if you could just put in yes or no into the chat. Heard of it? Yes. People use it? Oh, great. Sometimes people use it. Yeah. Yes, yes. Oh, great. Well, I'm going to start with the basics and how we implemented it. And then I would love people to speak up, ask me questions along the way. Like Erica said, this is interactive. So what we saw as the problem, and what the market sees as the problem, is that 9 out of 10 startups fail because of lack of market need. So based on 101 startup postmortems, they found that the reason for failure was that people made or gave services that no one wants. And I started seeing that early in my first year at the SBDC, and it just bothered me that people were spending so much money on marketing and legal entities and business licensing, and they hadn't really done their primary market research. So that's why I started investigating ways to see if we could get over this issue. So the other reasons are ran out of cash, not the right team, got outcompeted, cost issues, a poor product, they didn't have a business model. But again, the number one reason is the lack of market need. So why the lean startup method? Again, the startup problems we saw were that people love their product or their idea so much, they have so much passion around their product and the solution that they're offering to the market, but they don't know if there really is a problem that their solution solves. They don't have a plan, either a business plan or a business model canvas. They have untested demand, so they believe that there's a market need out there, but they really haven't tested it. And then inadequate funding. So one of the solutions is this lean startup model, where you start out with a small idea, work through your business model canvas, come up with your assumptions, and then get out and start testing your assumptions. So for example, I had a client who wanted to start a kids exercise facility. She wanted to start a huge facility. So we worked together and decided that the best way for her to test her solution was to get out and offer small exercise classes. So what she did is she started offering birthday party classes. And then during the pandemic, she did offer webinars and she was on videos. And what she found is that she had a strong following. So she built, refined, measured her customer demand and reaction, and then innovated and changed it up a bunch. And now she is actually working out of 3 different centers. So she hasn't gotten her big facility, but she has 3 smaller facilities that she rents once a week, and her exercise classes are fully subscribed. And she does charge, I just went on her website, she charges $250 for her, 5-week exercise programs. So if she would have started with the facility, it would have been too much for her, too much rent, too much overhead, not enough people interested. So this way she tested her idea by offering small solutions and then built it up, and now is happy with the size she's at. She's actually not going to move forward with a large facility for a while. Any questions? Okay. So Eric Ries is actually the one who wrote the Lean Startup. The goal of a startup is to learn what customers want and will pay for as quickly as possible. So we want them to reduce upfront costs, do quick tests, and then get some connections with their customers. Actually, Steve Blank out of Stanford University is one of the first users of this idea, and he actually was able to, he reviewed our outline for our plan for profit class and gave us input into what we should change to make it better. So the method is really to find a problem to solve, whereas people come in with a solution. When they come in as clients, it's better to find a problem that you're really passionate about and then think of a number of solutions, create your business model around that idea. And in the business model, because it is just starting out, everything you put in the business model is an assumption. Test these assumptions with experiments, measure and move forward, or measure and pivot.
Maura.
Yes?
Yeah. I'm just curious, have you run it? It seems to me that to do this, you have to do some creative thinking. You have to put on a different hat and think, how can we try to do what the client wants to do, but do it in a smaller scale or a one-off situation? Have you found, and that takes creative thought, it takes a client who's willing to do this kind of testing. Have you found situations where the business idea doesn't lend itself to that sort of atomization or that breakdown and testing?
I haven't had too many issues with that. I do have issues when people come in and they are, like I had a person come in with a restaurant and they're already spending money on the build out. So I tried to step back and say, how can you test this? But because they're already spending the money, we couldn't test it. I said, get out and test your menu and use social media to draw people to you. But and it also depends on the personality. In this case also.
Did they test their menu by social media? Because that seems like a good idea. Did they test their menu by social media? Did it work out that way? Did they get response and everything?
You know what? I just met with them last week and they were more interested in access to capital. So we didn't really have a fruitful discussion.
No, it seems that's an interesting way to go for that kind of thing.
Yeah. You know what we find also is in the plan for profit, because there are 15 participants, most others, the clients will help each other. It's even, I kind of step out of the situation and they help each other because they come up with these creative ideas and help one another. So it's really a good way to reduce upfront investment, prioritize the quick testing, and connect entrepreneurs with possible clients. And the model focuses on experimentation, customer feedback, and then iterative design. So I'm going to show you how we implemented this into our program Plan for Profit, which is a 9-week program. And it is really beneficial for those with an idea, with one idea rather than many ideas, and they're interested in launching. I'm just going to play a video that's kind of our recruiting video. See if everyone can hear this. Welcome to Plan for Profit. Plan for Profit is partially funded by the Illinois Small Business Development Center Network. We found that the #1 reason for startup failure is lack of market need for a small business's goods or services. So Plan for Profit is a multi-week course during which we'll help you test your business idea to ensure that there's a market need. You'll be reaching outside your comfort zone and interviewing prospective customers. You'll develop your startup roadmap by creating a business model canvas. You'll be able to state the problem you're solving, state your business assumptions, and continue your discovery. You'll also identify your target market, create and analyze your marketing strategy, review your costs, and then start to develop your financial projections. We'll also have subject matter experts that will help you decide on a legal entity, Librarian will help you plan your secondary market research, and a marketing expert will help you create your strategy. You'll learn a little bit about accounting and also insurance. And best of all, during the cohort, you'll get to connect with other entrepreneurs and work together with them to achieve your goals. My name is Maura Mitchell, and I'm the Managing Director of the Division 2 of Entrepreneurial Services at the Women's Business Development Center. I am also the Director of the Illinois SBDC at the Women's Business Development Center. I'm excited that you're considering Plan for Profit. Once you've applied and been accepted, we'll send out a short survey to gauge where you are now so that we can measure how far you've come during the program. Next up, we're going to have a few Plan for Profit graduates that will tell you even more about our program.
Hi, my name is Kathleen. I have a mobile massage therapy company, and I'm a graduate of the Plan for Profit program. This program provided a step-by-step guide to articulate my business goals and dreams. Through the program, I was able to write a business plan for potential investors. I challenged myself to get out and talk to others about my business. So now I know that there is a need for my services. This program taught me all the areas you need to have a handle on when you run a business. I learned about market research, insurance, liabilities, profits, and much more. Several WBDC staff members met with me one-on-one for additional support as well. If you are interested in learning the steps to a successful business, take this class. Now we have some words from Taylor.
Thanks. My name is Taylor McClanagan, and I am a co-owner at Small Shop, which is a product development firm that helps brands and makers in India source, develop, and produce crafted goods and apparel together. Plan for Profit was so valuable to us as we built up our business and prepared for launching our website. We had a few clients prior to joining the course, but needed to hone in on who the right customer is for our business. Plan for Profit helped us get outside the building, a favorite phrase in the class, and talk to people within our industry to determine what the actual needs were for key players. This helped immensely in defining our core focus and service offering. Plan for Profit also helps you do this by introducing proven entrepreneurial tools like a business model canvas, writing and testing hypotheses, and market research. Knowing we have a good product market fit gives us confidence to invest in our business. Not only did we refine our business model, but we were also guided through other fundamentals like healthy financial literacy, insurance considerations, and marketing. Above all, this class really helps you take a hard look at your business idea and assess its viability, a crucial and sometimes difficult step for passionate entrepreneurs. WBDC's proven record of supporting successful businesses makes their advice sound and well worth the investment of your time and energy. The class doesn't end there. You have access to continuing coursework and one-on-one coaching in several business areas. Hope you join it.
Thank you so much to Kathleen and Taylor, and we hope that you join us in Plan for Profit. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye now.
Okay, so that's a little taste of a few of our participants. So Plan for Profit is offered in English and Spanish. We did start it in 2013 and have had over 330 participants. We started introducing the lean startup methods about a year ago. We have had 30 cohorts, and after Plan for Profit, graduates have started new businesses. They've injected money into their businesses, added employees, received grants, and continue to access our online training programs, our on-site training programs when we were in person, and our no-cost one-on-one advising sessions. I'm just going to go over the schedule a little bit for Plan for Profit. So first of all, we recruit. That was a recruiting video that we use in our marketing. So we send out, our emails via Constant Contact. We do social media. We have interested parties fill out applications, and then we interview them to ensure that they're in the right place of their business development. We really want them to be committed to an idea rather than to say, oh, I want to open a yoga studio or I want to open a cafe. So we'd like them to be focused on one idea. That way, everyone coming into the cohort has kind of the same base level foundation ideas. Then we go, and the first week they pitch their idea. They tell everyone the problem they're solving, and we really focus on making sure you know the problem you're solving. And they work through and create their business model canvas, and I'll go over our sample case study. So they brainstorm and create assumptions about their idea, and the business model canvas offers them guidance, direction, and structure. It's kind of a visual roadmap that they keep coming back to all through each session. Every session at the beginning will say, what have you learned? They are charged with going out and talking to at least 2 people a week, so they come back and report their findings in their interview sessions. We have them pinpoint critical assumptions, so they narrow down the assumptions that they're going to go out and test. We do show them how to test their assumptions, and I'll go over that either, whether it be by social media or customer discovery interviews or just surveys or, just getting out and talking to people, standing on the street in front of a location that you're interested in. And then we do finish up weeks like 5 through 9. Our other startup strategies, like you heard Taylor and Kathleen say, we do go over marketing strategies, sales strategies. And then the final week, they give a pitch to 3 panelists. Any questions?
We have one in the chat, Mara, from Todd. How amenable are business owners to trying this approach, and how many aren't?
Yeah, it is really reaching outside your comfort zone. So we do have them, especially for the interview process, we have them work with each other and do some mock interviews. Some people do their interviews, and other people do not complete the interviews, because it does take a lot to get out there and talk to strangers. But if you're going to run a business, that's what you're going to have to do. So it makes sense to try to do it and get over it in the beginning.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I've done some market research, and it's really, I think in this situation, really good for people with a business idea to really knock it about in the real world and see what people think about it.
Mm-hmm. And some of our low and moderate income clients might not have the community, or the people to think about to get out and do customer discovery interviews with. So we work with them and try to brainstorm about, if you're starting a healthcare business or a social work business, can you get out and talk to a number of people that you used to work with, or see if you know a nurse that you can talk to about your idea. So sometimes it is just helping them brainstorm about their possible connections outside in the community. So again, class 1, we pitched the idea and developed the business model using the business model canvas. Class 2, we help them start thinking about their target market and their segmentation, what segments they're going to appeal to. And we talk about the customer discovery interviews in this session also, and have them do a mock interview with another participant. Class 3, we talk about testing business ideas. Class 4, we have a librarian come and talk about secondary market research. So she'll go into, where should I locate my business? And what industry information can you find at the library? And who are my competitors? And class 5, we have a marketing expert come and discuss marketing strategies. and then tactics to use. And then class 6 is creating sales strategies. They're learning sales strategies by getting out and talking to people, but people tend to think of sales as a negative thing. So we have someone come and talk about the best approaches to use. Class 7, they learn about accounting or more about accounting. We have an accountant come, a CPA come and talk to them. Class 8, we discuss the financial statements, and we have an access to capital expert come. And then class 9, again, they pitch their idea, and usually it has been revised from the first pitch that they did in class 1. So class 1, again, is develop some business model, and because it is just the start of their business, everything is an assumption. So I always have clients come in and say, oh, I'm gonna help women from age 30 to age 80. And we say, that's a little bit too much. You really need to narrow down your target market base. So this business model canvas and getting out and talking to people helps. Is everyone familiar with the business model canvas? And have you used it with clients? I guess if you put it in the chat, or people can speak up if they want to. Yes and yes. Oh, good. Oh, great. Okay, I'm just going to go over a case study, and it's a really simple case study, but we use it to introduce the business model canvas. So here we show the business model canvas, the 9 boxes. On the right side are all the boxes that deal with the customer. The left side is dealing with the internal business. And we work through and answer these questions in the business model canvas. So I usually start in the middle here and talk about what is their unique value proposition and what makes their idea unique. Is it their experience? Is it their knowledge of the market? What value do they deliver to the customer? And then again, what problem are you helping to solve for the customer? And then I move over here to this box, who you help. And we talk about who you're creating value for, who are your customers, and who is going to buy your product or service. And this is really the biggest area of testing when we use this model. We really find that people need to get out and determine if they're working towards the right customers. For instance, Kathleen, that was in the video I showed, she is a mobile massage therapist, and she thought her target market might be firemen at the fire station. She would bring her table there and set it up and give massages to firemen. And she got out and started talking to them, and she had one interview, and the fireman said, I don't want to stay at this fire station. That would not work at all. I want to get home right after my shift is over. So he did not like the idea, and she found out through other interviews that that was not a great idea. Instead, she found that senior centers would be a good idea, that she could go in and have a room there and massage seniors at the senior center. So by getting out and talking to people, she found out that her first idea wasn't really going to work. So then I talk about how you'll deliver your product or service. Is it business to business or business to consumer? How will you interact with your clients? Why do customers buy from you? And then we go down here and talk about how is the business earning money from its customers? What kind of revenue streams is the business relying on? Do you have multiple revenue streams? Can you think about how to diversify your revenue streams? And this has been important, especially during the pandemic when online became more of a benefit. So we started thinking of ways that people could transform from in-person to online. And then we go over here, and this is another big area of testing. With whom do you need to work to deliver your solution? Who are your suppliers and your vendors? So I had a bagel store, a woman who started baking bagels in her kitchen. And she gathered information from Facebook. She did a Google Doc on Facebook and had people sign up that were interested in trying her bagels. And she found an insurance agent who was her partner, someone who helped her. He let her use his insurance agency. This was before the pandemic, to distribute her bagels. So people would sign up for bagels. She'd bake them in her kitchen every Saturday. She'd go to the insurance agent and she didn't have to pay rent. She would just be there and set up and deliver to clients, or people would come and pick up their bagels from her. Excuse me. She then moved to a shared kitchen, and then she's now opened a bagel store in Oak Park. So she's had a successful run starting in her kitchen. But she did need to find that partner to help her. What kind of activities do you need to do to provide value? And then what assets do you have? Who's on your team? What's your experience? Who's on your email list? And then what you give. What are the major costs of the business? So I'm going to run through this Kelly's lemonade stand. It's really fundamental and very easy, but it helps to explain this even further. So I'll just read this. Kelly Johnson performed some secondary market research and found that there were no lemonade stands in the popular park near her house. She wanted to see if she could make money operating a lemonade stand. She talked to the city council to see if she could set up a booth in the busy park near a bike path where joggers and bikers frequently exercise. Before she registered her business, applied for a business license, and spent money on marketing and supplies, she wanted to test her business assumptions by talking to the people in the park about the need for a lemonade stand on warm days. Her assumptions were that she would provide cold, freshly squeezed, refreshing lemonade on the go to walkers, joggers, and bikers. These thirsty park visitors would pay 75 cents a cup of lemonade, and she assumed that most people would tip her. She believed that the exercisers would enjoy yoga, running, accessories, and walking shoes in addition. Before launching, Kelly made a list of supplies she thought she would need for her lemonade stand. She started out by researching lemonade recipes and found she would need lemon, sugar, and ice to keep the drinks cold, a cooler, a lemon squeezer, styrofoam cups, papers, markers, and poster board. Her brother would design a booth. She started to create a logo that she'd also test, and she put it on her booth sign and on flyers that she would distribute throughout town. She also thought she'd advertise Kelly's lemonade stand in the local online newspaper. Kelly assumed she'd hire a few employees after a couple months to assist her with lemonade production and sales, and she'd find suppliers who could provide her ingredients and supplies at a lower rate. Kelly hoped she'd be doing so well that she'd enlarge her lemonade stand for next summer. I'd love people to help me out here and start in the beginning here. If you just shout out how you think Kelly's helping, what problem is she solving for her customers? Or put it in the chat if you want to. Anyone? So she is providing cold, tasty lemonade on the go. That's her unique value proposition. Who is she creating value for? Who are her customers? Who's going to buy her service, her product? Park visitors. So does anyone have any questions about this and how we work through this? The third box we fill out is, how does your product get to your customer? How will she be selling her services or products? And that's all through the lemonade booth. How is she going to interact with her customers? Why do customers buy from her, and how does she get more customers? And that's all through personal interaction. She also could consider her social media and her online newspaper. That's the other way to get customer relationships. How is the business earning money from its customers? What kind of revenue streams is the business relying on? She said lemonade sales, and then she hoped to get tips. She was going to provide lemonade for 75 cents a cup. What kind of activities do you need to do to provide value? And what did she need to do better than any competitor in the area? She needed to make the best lemonade. She needed to do great marketing and reach the people she wanted to reach. And then she needed to sell and have friendly customer service. What resources do you need to deliver her value proposition, and who's on her team? She had her ingredients that she would get from her suppliers. Her salespeople, again, needed to be friendly, and then her booth that she sold from. And with whom did she need to work to deliver her solution? What activities will these partners perform? So she really needed help from the city officials to make sure it was okay to do this in the park. She needed help from her suppliers. If she thought about it after talking to people, she could determine whether they were yoga. You know, they did go to yoga studios, if they did go to running stores or walking shoe stores, because she could place her information in those stores or with those business owners and form partnerships with them. And then what are the major costs of the business? It would be her ingredients, her salaries, her equipment, and her flyers that she was going to distribute. Okay, does everyone see how this simple case study gives you a clearer understanding of the 9 boxes?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So you're working with the client and or the student, and they're giving you this information. These are assumptions, is that right? This is where you
Yeah.
guys start off? Okay.
Right.
And then after that, would you help them test their assumptions then?
Yes.
Okay.
So then we come up, and I usually am testing, like I said, this box here, who do they help? The customers, and who are their key partners? That's how we begin, because from their customers, they'll figure out, you know, what revenue they can achieve and what people will pay for their services or their products. And I'll go over the different ways we talk about testing. Anything else? So I have done this program for startup lawyers, and I use an estate planning attorney business to show how to use the business model canvas. So I'll mix it up a bit depending on the audience. So here are some of the assumptions.
Mara, we have a question in the chat.
Okay.
Do you or the client actually complete the form, or do you just talk about the points in the model?
So, yeah, so what we do is we go through this case study, and then we do breakout rooms, and we have them pair up with one another, and they work through their own business model canvas and bounce ideas off one another. And then we meet back in the room again and talk about how they filled out their business model canvas. And then each week we discuss if they've made changes to their business model canvas and what they found out by talking to people.
Great, thanks.
Okay. So this is what the assumption: we believe that we will solve the problems of those that are exercising and need a refreshing drink in the park. We believe our customers will be the park visitors who have been exercising. We believe that our partners will be the city officials, our suppliers, and complementary businesses like the yoga studio and the running store. We believe we'll sell enough of our product at the park and that will be financially feasible, viable. We believe our customers also enjoy yoga, running, accessories, and walking shoes. So this is a lot of assumptions to get out and test, and it can be overwhelming. So we really like them to narrow down 1 or 2 assumptions, and usually the critical assumptions around money. So class 2, we start talking about which assumptions to narrow down. And I just chose the 2 that we usually work on, although number 4 is probably the biggest one. Will we make enough money by selling our 75-cent lemonade at the park to sustain our livelihood? Maybe they're working at 50 parks. I don't know. Okay. So we tell them to choose 1 or 2 and then to get out and test these assumptions. So they'll solve the problems of exercisers needing a refreshing drink in the park. So this involves getting out and standing in the park and talking to exercisers to see, would you stop by my lemonade stand or not? What do you do now? Where do you go now to get your refreshing drink after running? And then partners is another good way to get out and talk to people, talk to the city officials to make sure your idea is, you can get a business license for this idea, talk to suppliers to see if you'll get your supplies at a cost that will be feasible, and then other complementary businesses. Class 3 is testing the assumptions. How have you tested and validated your idea? So how much do you know about the customer and demand, and how have you validated your business idea? Through these number of tests, there are customer interviews, and that's the one method we use in class, but we do talk about surveys, and then actual sales as a way to test your idea. So anyone with a product, I say, or we talk about getting out and, can you go to the farmer's market and make sure that people are coming to your booth and you're selling? Or can you offer, if you're doing a service, can you offer a webinar and see if you have a following at your webinar? I do have a client right now who wants to be a leadership coach. Well, she went on TikTok and she started doing like 2-minute videos on problems that people have in their work environment. So she talked about leadership and getting your career in line. And doesn't have a business yet, but she has, I think she said 20,000 followers right now. And people are starting to ask her questions. So the questions that they're asking, she is now forming her business around those questions. And I just got an email from her 2 days ago, and she said that someone has agreed to partner with her on social media, and that a company in Los Angeles wants her to come and lead a leadership coaching session. So she was found through TikTok, and she hadn't even started. And now she said, I want to start out my business because I have demand. So we do have these experiments that we talk about. Actually, class 3, we bring in our innovation specialist we have at the, she's actually outside the SBDC. She runs our Women Innovation Learning Lab, but she runs class 3 and talks through these customer interview, customer survey, a social media campaign, and actual sales opportunities. These are all based on Testing Business Ideas book by David Bland. So these are just 4 experiments to try right away. There are dozens to choose from in this book called Testing Business Ideas. And really the best option is the sales opportunities. People will say they'll purchase from you, but you don't really know until they show you, until they actually do it. So these are very informative, but the 4th one is really the best way to test. So number 1 is to complete interviews focusing on exploring a prospective customer's pains and gains and their willingness to pay for your product or service. The second one is to write an open-ended questionnaire to collect information from prospective customers. The third is to do a social media campaign similar to our TikTok client. I also have another client who does embroidery, and she is on Instagram, and she just shows her beautiful products, and she's gained such a following that now she does embroidery for a card business. So she embroiders greeting cards for people. And then the actual sales opportunities. So we talk about the customer interview. This is the first method we go over, and this is the one we use in class. And we ask people to prepare 5 questions. There is a great book called Talking to Humans. It is a PDF you can actually get online for free, and it shows you how to do the customer interview. But basically, we'd like to figure out what's the hardest part about the problem. So what's the hardest part about being thirsty in the park? Where do you find your drink? Can you tell me about the last time that happened? Why was that hard? What, if anything, have you done to solve that problem? And what don't you love about the solutions you've tried? So you see, it's less of a sales call than it is more about finding out information about what they've done to solve their problem before, and if your solution would be attractive to them. Any questions? So the rules we like to tell people is talk about their life instead of your idea. Ask about specifics in the past instead of generics or opinions about the future. And really the big one is talk less and listen more. And this is kind of small, but from talking to humans, these are the do's and the don'ts of your customer interviews. So really go in prepared with your 5 questions. Know your goals and what you want to learn from these interviews. Be smart about who you target. And if you are having a good discussion with someone, make sure your last question is, with who else can I speak with? Can you recommend me someone else to talk to? Really talk to one person at a time. Talking to humans, they really recommend that you don't do focus groups because people aren't as honest in focus groups. They're kind of feeding off one another. So really doing one person at a time. And actually, we thought it would be hard to do it at this time because of the pandemic, but people have been more willing to do a Zoom call or a phone call. Prepare yourself to hear things you don't want to hear. So maybe this lemonade stand operator hears that, no, I carry my water bottle and that's all I ever want to drink. But that is helpful information. So instead of spending the money on the booth and the license and the setup, she found out that, okay, my idea is not needed. Maybe I will shift it to something else or go to another location. Get stories on past behavior. That really tells you, what people have done and what they've spent on, instead of don't speculate, and ask them would you pay for X? Ask for advice. 95% of the conversation should be them talking rather than you talking, which is really hard to do, especially when you're passionate about your idea. Follow your nose and drill down when something of interest comes up. So that is just, like the 5 whys. Just keep asking why and get down to the details. At the end of the interview, ask for introductions and look for patterns and use judgment. And again, don't use one conversation literally. We like to say that you need a group. We like them to talk to 2 people over every week. So they get to talk to about 18 people. Ideally, you get to a point where you start hearing the same information over and over, but it would be great if people could talk to 50 people.
How
So
many
this
times?
is one, pardon?
How many times do you have clients that are just resistant to doing this? I'm just wondering because if I had a product or service, I'd be really excited to try to find out more people thought about it, you know? But do you have some that are just not interested?
Yes. It is difficult to do because of the passion around the product. And I believe that most people do get into talking about their service or product because you want some sort of feedback on that. It's just, you really want to gauge their behavior. And the best way to do that is to, ask about the past.
So you need, so the person doing this needs to be more neutral and less excited about their product or service, you're saying that
Right.
gets in the way. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. That's interesting.
But they do need to be the founder. That is the biggest thing because the founder is going to know the most, know the ins and outs. So you may think, oh, I can, have a salesperson go in and talk to 50 people, but that isn't as beneficial. You really need the founder to get in there and talk to people.
That makes sense. It really does.
Okay, so here are just a couple ways to do a customer survey to test their assumptions. There is Nextdoor, which is the online, neighborhood newspaper. You want to survey large groups to gather feedback and find out if you're solving a problem. Would people buy your solution? Would people like a lemonade stand in the park? So you could ask that on Nextdoor. There are also, Facebook groups. This is how to post a survey on Facebook. You could also, I ask people to set up a landing page, a one-page website and have a call to action on your website that says, I'll give you, if you're a leadership coach, I'll give you the 5 top tips to being a leader for free if you give me your email address, and then gather email addresses and then send out a survey to them. A social media campaign is always a good way also. Test people's reaction to your product or service. So we like to see videos, especially for service businesses, and then photos around product businesses are helpful. So here's the lemonade stand posting on Instagram about her lemonade stand and asking questions within Instagram to see if she can gain followers or, figure out if people like lemonade. So this is the third method of testing. The fourth are actual sales to test their assumptions. So farmers market and pop-up shops are set up shop and take orders. I actually have a client now who wanted to start a Mediterranean food delivery business. And instead, her and her partners found an Irish pub called The Pint, who let them set up in the Irish pub, and they're serving their Mediterranean food out of an Irish pub. So they're doing a pop-up restaurant within a restaurant. So people come in, they get their Mediterranean food and their Guinness stout, but they didn't pay the money to build out a space. They're paying rent to the pub and they have a year lease. So they're testing their idea, they're testing their restaurant food, and they've actually been successful. And people love their Mediterranean food. So again, their website landing page have a call to action to gauge interest and to see if you can sell from your website, sell your webinar that you're offering. And then social media, like the bagel lady, she took orders from Facebook on the Facebook platform. A hair salon setting up in one of those individual salon suites is a great way to test your idea before opening a full salon. So really starting small. We always say that people come in with big ideas. I had a client come in this week and she does event planning. She had been doing event planning for 10 years. And she wanted to build out a space and do her events from that space. And we just started talking about other ways to test her idea. And instead of paying rent and maintaining a space, and she actually said, I have a friend in Hyde Park who has a space and maybe I can talk to him about letting me do my events in his space. So she was going to try that. That was her homework for the next few weeks, to see if she could get out and talk to him. Any questions?
Something that I think that in relation to this, that the pandemic has been beneficial for is the advent of ghost kitchens or like community kitchens. It's something I've kind of been advising a lot of clients that I've seen who are looking at restaurant startups to do, because it allows them to do a test market for their food from a delivery app perspective without taking on all that overhead initially. I think that goes hand in hand with that pop-up shop availability that really didn't exist, I think, before we were sort of forced to pivot into a totally different market for food delivery. So I think that that's great advice for anybody, because it's super risky to start a restaurant in this environment. So
yeah, I love that idea. Any way to test your food without spending all that money. I mean, this client that came to me this week, she has gotten the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund grant for $250,000, but they have to, that's a reimbursable grant. So she's got to come up with the $250,000, and she was finding banks were not open to lending to her. So, yeah. So I've talked about a number of these success stories that we've had in our client work, and our other advisors have had success with this method also. So again, the career coaching, she is pre-launch and she did the TikTok. The restaurant in the Pint, it's called, mobile massage, the kids exercise program, and the bagel store. These are just some ideas of people starting small and then growing their idea. So these are just a couple testimonials that we have received from Plan for Profit. It was helpful as a foundation for starting my company, a place to work through early stage iteration, and giving me an understanding of business. So today we checked in with the group, found out who, a lot of you are already using this method. I would love to brainstorm with you more, because we have only used it for a year. I'd love to learn more about how people are implementing it and using the business model canvas. We discussed how the problem is being solved through Plan for Profit, learned why we use the Lean Startup method. Again, I'd love to hear how you do it. And discussed our implementation kind of from our recruiting through the final pitch, and then following up to figure out, to determine and hear about people's progress. I love to hear about their progress. I'd love to hear about their success stories. It makes me happy. So any questions about the process, about Plan for Profit, about recruiting for a program?
Feel free to unmute and ask your questions.
Okay, I don't know if there's any way we could set up an SBDC in a group of people interested in talking more about Lean Startup? That might be my question to you.
That might not be a bad idea. I mean, one thing that comes to mind is, you know, the use of social media here. I don't think everyone's on the same page with that. I know I'm not, but I think that goes for entrepreneurs as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Looks like you got some interest, Mara, in the chat for a Lean Startup group.
Oh, good. So I will take down names and I'll reach out to people.
Agreed. I mean, I just think it's a great approach to point out the things that people gloss over all the time. Everyone comes in and they want to talk about capital funding. They want to talk about money for their business, and they really don't take that time that is needed to really flesh out their ideas and test it before they put in that major investment. And that's part, I mean, you're going to, of course, run into people that are resistant, but that is part of the job as the advisor, is to kind of bring those important items back to focus for them and give them examples, and visuals like this on paper do really well to kind of bring them back into reality that they really need to place some importance in these areas.
Yeah, I hate it when they say they need all that, they have an idea and they want access to capital. I think by, starting really small with an idea, like this week with the person who wanted to do the event planning, she really felt better after the session. I think that she didn't really need capital to come, to start to work on her idea in just a different way to start with. Maybe eventually down the line, but at least she could take a few steps right now and keep working on her passion project.
I also did put the link to the book that Mara referenced, the free PDF, Talking to Humans. That is in the chat. So you guys don't have to look for that. Mara, have you read the sequel to that book, Testing with Humans?
Testing with Humans. I have not read that one. I've read the Testing Business Ideas, but I know I need to read that one. Now, is there a way to save this chat? I don't know if I can get back to all these.
I think it actually saves once we close out, so I can send it over to you.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you so much. I know I finished a little bit early, but if you have questions, please reach out to me. I will put my email in the chat here. Okay, thanks to everyone. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mara, for sharing such great information. Someone did point out, if you do click on the little 3 dots within the chat box, and you can choose the option to save the chat, yes, and that will save it right to your system. Also, we will have the links to these recordings and presentations, of course, after the conference ends as well, for those that weren't able to make the session. But thank you very much, Mara, for sharing this great information. Thank you, everyone, for participating. See you in the lobby or in another session.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.